You have something else on that arm though, right? That's not.
Yeah, well, this
that right
I
there.
had another artist do the Hebrew there, and then Ian.
Tat it up, bro.
You do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
So we
him.
keep it even. Tat.
He's great.
No tat. No
And then
tat,
I have
tat.
one commemorating my 100 miler that he did.
Remember that was right after
doing it,
my
bro?
second session.
This one is,
Yeah.
yeah.
You want
That's
that?
what's up.
I need to
I'm
get some more.
hoping
You want
to
it like full.
have the money.
half.
Well,
Add it up.
fellas, thanks for being here. I appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know you guys are busy playing, and
It's nice to be in here in silence.
yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
you don't mind? We'll just like start off introducing yourself. Just give a little background of where you're from, how you got into playing drums. So, whoever wants to start, go for it.
Caleb?
I'm Caleb Gilbreath.
Hi, Caleb.
Background. Hey.
Hello, Caleb.
Background. I'm from a little town in Texas called Waxahachie, Texas. I started playing drums through like the middle school system, doing like percussion and drum line, did jazz band in high school, was playing like 4-mallet marimba and all that stuff.
We're the same person without the formalities.
Yes.
I could barely do one.
Nice. Well, yeah, I was doing all that stuff, the concert band, orchestra and stuff. Then I decided to kind of mostly focus on drum set. Went to college up in Boston at Berklee College of Music. I studied music production and engineering and also did performance there. I double majored. Graduated from that in 2011, moved straight to Nashville. Didn't really know what I was going to do. Didn't know if I was going to do more engineering stuff. Didn't know if I was going to do more drumming. First gig I took was a front of house gig, actually, doing front of house for a bluegrass Americana artist named Sierra Hull, and did that for a couple of years. Was kind of drumming with random folks the whole time. And eventually kind of decided that what I really wanted to do was play drums. Decided to focus solely on that. So after Sierra, the next like steady gig I got was playing with a country trio named Gloriana. Did that for a little while. Then ended up playing with, did that for about 6 months, and ended up getting the gig with a country artist named Eldredge. Did that for about 4.5 years. And these days I'm trying to stay off the road and stick to playing sessions and producing, building live tracks for people. Kind of whatever keeps me out of the touring world is kind of my A goal right now. But yeah, that's the very condensed version of what got me from there to here.
Awesome. Very cool. One background, Scott.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Scott Sellers. Grew up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Born and raised.
I was born in Texas,
Oh.
but moved when I was 2 to Nashville.
Nice.
My family's all in the music industry, and Nashville was where they moved when they were super young. And, I came with them. My dad was a drummer. He's still a drummer. I mean, he doesn't do it as much anymore, but he was always a drummer with me growing up. So I kind of got into drums as young as you can, like instead of like giving me pots and pans to play on, he gave me like certain sounds and like different things to hit them with, that kind of thing. So
As young as you can.
I think I think I was like a toddler, like
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
most of it is stories that I've heard. I don't remember it, but my family seems to think really highly of me as a drummer at age 2 months.
Wow.
So I'll just take their word for it. I don't know.
That's incredible.
So I grew up, kind of playing on my dad's kit, just messing around. I remember he showed me how to play my first song. I don't remember how old I was, but it was like a Bryan Adams song. And yeah, so I did the middle school thing as well, like middle school, high school. I wasn't great at melodic percussion. I was terrible at it. I actually faked my way through it for the most part. But I was big into, like marching band, like drumline. That was my favorite thing to do. And in high school I started playing in metal bands because I was rebelling against my country family. And
So that's how you're so good at double bass.
Yep. So I got really good at double bass, and then I just kind of got back into the country world after a couple of years when I realized you can't really make a living doing like alternative music like that unless you're on top of the world, and nobody really gets there. So I started doing country again, and that was 9 years ago. And I've been kind of touring since then, off and on, odd jobs in between, because that's what you got to do when you're in Nashville. So now I play for an artist named John Langston. I've been with him for 3.5 years, and I'm his drummer, band leader, and MD, and a couple other things that have just been thrown on me. I don't really get paid for, but somebody's got to do
I know
them.
how that goes.
So, and that's up to current. Yeah, we're in the middle of touring right now.
Very cool.
That's
Ooh.
2 months. That really impressed me.
Yeah.
Some Buddy Rich shit. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, who's Buddy Rich?
who? I have a nephew. My sister has a son. I have a nephew who's he's 15 months old now, and she sends me videos of him, like, they gave him a little, like, pancake drum and a mallet.
Yeah.
And you see kids like banging on stuff all the time. It's like nothing to do. But he'll like hit the drum with one side, and then he'll spin the stick around to the butt end and like hit it, and then he'll switch arms, and it's just a child playing, but like is that what they saw me doing? Because he's thinking about it. It's like he hears different things, and it's amazing. Like maybe he'll be a drummer. He will be. I'm making the drummer.
If you learn to express through like tones, which it sounds like that early, that's some.
It's really interesting.
Then it's like a real language for you, I think.
Right.
Because those piano virtuosos, that's what they do. They learn how to like tell a story just using the piano. When they're like 2 years old, it just becomes like an effortless. It's really cool.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's cool to see somebody growing up doing it, like my nephew's
Like you did.
15 months. I guess, yeah. I guess so. I can't wait to for him to get a little older and me say I watched you do this.
Yeah.
It's cool. I don't have any kids, so that's the closest thing.
For now.
For now, we'll see. We'll see.
What's that? We're ping-ponging around?
Sure.
Gotcha. Not after you. My name is Darius Fant, like fantastic. Like, don't you want a Fanta? Wish I would have thought of that.
I do.
Who thought of it?
Do one, huh? Yeah. Where do I start? I was born on a cold winter night.
Not that far back.
All right. No, man, I grew up playing in church, obviously. Strong gospel roots. Since I can remember, man, my mom, being a single parent, my mom like pushed us to church, and I think there I just found a passion for music in general, and specifically drums. Fast forward button, I really got serious, same humble beginnings. At 11 or 12, once I started beginner band, did the rudimental route, melodic percussion, concert band, marching band. Fast forward through high school, I was drum captain, drum line, and I just really started snowballing that thing, man. I went to Ole Miss, majored in percussion, or majored in music education with an emphasis in percussion. From there, of course, I did all the ensembles there: jazz band, African drum and dance, marching band, percussion ensemble, steel drum ensemble, you name it. And really got to, through my instructor there, lead and perform a lot more, so that puts some hair on my chest for sure. Fast forward past that, I taught music in Mississippi there for 8 years. I was a band director, did percussion instructor route.
What age group were you?
So there, we taught it all.
Okay.
So we taught from 6th grade beginner band all the way up through high school. So we did marching band, percussion ensemble, concert band, you name it. Indoor drum line, I did it all, man. So I got to more or less stand on the teaching side and really learn a lot about that and grow. Learn a lot on that side and grow on that side as well. Still all while playing in church, man, playing with a lot of gospel groups at the time, quartet, choirs, you name it. And past that, I'll fast forward to moving here. On a leap of faith, obviously, as we all do. Just started playing with whoever called. On up to now, man, I'm playing with an artist named Schnacky. I'm kind of the new kid on the block, probably amongst us five.
How long you been in Nashville?
It's about 2.5 years now, and that's it, man. Long story short, I guess we can go through all the other stuff later.
You said you did like teaching for 8 years.
Yep.
How old are you?
Hey, is this?
Black don't crack.
Are these days rolling?
I assumed you were like 22.
Nah, man.
How old?
It's like I'm 56.
If you don't want to tell me, it's fine. I was just
Really,
like,
man, takes my teeth out.
I thought you were the young kid.
Nah, bro.
Are you older than me?
I'm the oldest person in
How old
there.
are you?
How old are you?
30.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
Dad,
I'm 30.
Dad, I am, man. And we'll leave it right
all
there.
Dude, I had no idea, man.
I'm 47 years old and counting. No, I'm 34.
I was gonna say no, you're
Yeah.
not.
All right. yeah.
Did you-
33, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you taught, what age group were the kids, or was it adults?
No, these were high school kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So I taught like the latter part of my years at Ole Miss in college. I taught like adjunct. That was kind of a hustle for me to pay for school and get through school at one of the largest high schools in the state. And then my first 2 years was at a smaller school, taught me a lot. And then I went the last 5 years of those and taught at the same school I started at, which was dope, man. Kind of full circle. I knew the kids, knew the parents,
What did you teach?
everything. So there, you're not just, I say in the state of Mississippi, most schools, you're not just solely the percussion instructor. So one
Yeah, dude,
period,
like chemistry,
right,
physics.
driving a bus, yeah,
Hey,
working
you
in
need
the
to know that shit
cafeteria,
if you're gonna play drums. You give them all those things.
mashed potatoes, yeah. But yeah, you teach it all, man. One period you might have beginner band, the little bitty jokers, the little sixth graders, and then the next you might be outside on the practice field running marching rehearsals, you know. So yeah, it was dope, man. That was like my passion. I wanted to retire in it,
Really?
you know.
Cool.
And there you kind of groomed to be a band director, man. And a lot of my mentors were band directors. They were great percussion instructors in the area, and I kind of saw myself doing that to at least 50. But you know, things change, bro, for sure. Always had in the back of my mind, like, what if? And I've had homies that have moved here, moved to Atlanta, moved to LA, and you kind of say, why not? You know, as I'm sure we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walle? Yeah, go for it, man.
Well, my name is Ulf Mikkel Wahlgren. Everyone calls me Walle. It's a bit easier. I'm a drum addict. I grew up in Sweden in a small village of 400 people. I started playing drums when I was 8 I'm hearing you guys talk about what you did. I'm so jealous of just like that, just the drum line in America. I'm so fascinated with like that almost everyone has pretty good hands.
Yeah.
That's not really a tradition in Sweden.
Yeah.
But I just got lucky, and also that you learned the marimba and you have jazz band and all these things. So there was a kind of a version of jazz band when I was started in third grade. A really passionate teacher came to that school and was like, "We're gonna start big band for kids," which was so cool of her to do. And we got to try out the instruments. Drums was the most natural for me. I couldn't even get a tone out of most of the trumpet and trombone. Like your lungs when you're 80s. Like what are you gonna do? But so it sounded like a real disaster when we practiced properly. But it was like really really just saved my whole life because I hated school. I always just didn't want to play drum. But that made me like, oh, now I have a drum teacher. Now I get to learn how to read music and learn this is the bus roll. Cool. We do brushes and like it was mainly swing music or like jazz music.
That you like grew up listening to, or
I didn't listen to it, but
Okay.
that's what we that's what we played. The first song I learned was When the Saints Go Marching. And then some, like marching snare etudes and that type of stuff. And then we played it in the band. After that, I did music schools throughout high school, and then I went to Musicians Institute out in Los Angeles for just 1 year. Moved back to Sweden, and I was also teaching at my old school that I used to go to. So it was similar to what you did. It was more. I was just drums and percussion for me. I wasn't doing chemistry, biology.
That's what you got to do to make ends meet.
But
What age?
so that was I left. I think I was 20 when I started working there.
What age were the students?
Oh, they're 16 to 18. Yeah. So we were basically the same age. There was a little like meeting like the parents. It's kind of like they were older than my parents. It was just kind of and that it felt to me like after a while that it's not really for me. Like I don't really fit in. I'm really passionate about teaching, and I really like. I still do teach privately whoever wants to do things.
Yeah, I hit you up for some jazz stuff.
Yeah. Anytime. I think I think it's a good way to like take what you know and pay it forward in a way. So teach people what you know a little bit. And but then after school I was like, no, I don't think teaching in a school system is for me, because I had a hard time with that too. You have to do this thing. So I felt like I need to just play a lot, basically. That's what I really wanted to do, I think. So after that, I built a studio in my old hometown, and I started doing sessions with people over Europe, like some guitar fusion things and jazz fusion stuff. And I would just fly files. Toured a little bit, and then I moved to Stockholm, which is the biggest city over in Sweden, but still nothing compared to like New York or something like that. So it was very tough. I feel like in some ways I think it's harder over there to play drums than it is
Really?
to come over here and play drums.
How so?
Experience. There's only so many gigs. There's only a few,
It's harder to work.
It's harder to work
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
Over here, I feel like you can tour till you lose your mind.
Yeah.
You can play every day of the week until you're just like, I hate drums, which is scary too. Or you can do what you do, sessions. And if you do that, there's a great sessions. Maybe this is the biggest. LA and Nashville, probably the biggest in the Western world of music. I think these two cities are probably where you can have a career as a session from. It's pretty fascinating to me. I moved to LA 4 years ago, and I now play with an artist named Cam, a country artist in town, and she came to Scandinavia when I was living there 2 years before I moved, and was touring, and she wasn't signed, but she was playing with some players that I went to school with in at MI. And then we really got along well, and I was doing what you said you were doing. I was kind of like the tour manager a little bit. I booked a few shows, was the bouncer, a few things, selling merch, just kind of like, driving the bus. But just all these things, and it was a great tour, and we played at cafes sometimes with 50 people. Sometimes we did a lot of workshops too on songwriting, what to
Now, was
play.
this before she took off?
The year before.
Okay.
And then she went back to America, got signed, came back to Sweden, did another Scandinavian tour. She just asked me, hey, would you want to come to America, just be my drummer permanently? Because we were getting along really well, like on a personal level, musically. I was very, very impressed with her voice. That was like the main, for me, just like, wow, what a great pre-EQ voice. As soon as she sang, it was just like, wow, it sounds amazing. and I was happy to leave Europe for America. Because Sweden is a great city, or a great country to live in. It really is like a high quality of life. But it's not really suited for artists. It's too small, I think, to really tour. It's mostly summer touring. You might end up with an artist that maybe just only sings in Swedish, which makes it hard to come to America to tour. But there's definitely artists that go here to tour, and I've been with some of those artists. But it's just not the same as in America, where there's a hustle and a grind mentality. The more you put into it, the more you will get back.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so good about this place.
So you said you lived in Stockholm.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been to Sweden. Like touring in in the U.S., you can go 2 hours away or up to like a whole day away.
Yeah.
Is there any touring there, like Stockholm to something else, or is it more spread out? Or
Starting in just Sweden?
Well, you just like where if you, I don't know if you said you toured
Mm-hmm.
over there, but
Yeah.
I was just curious if it was the same style of like traveling. Like, is it?
It's still,
Can you go just a couple hours and play another city, or
you will go a couple hours and play another country.
that makes more sense? Yeah, because it's all.
Yeah, so you'll go, if you drive 8 hours in Europe, you'll probably hit up
Right.
4 countries on the way. So in that sense, it's really cool. And it's busing, it's the same. Sometimes there's a bit more boats and trains involved maybe. But yeah, it's a similar thing, definitely. Any of you guys been?
No, I have not.
You've been?
Yeah, I've done stuff around like the UK, Scotland, Ireland, Italy, a few shows in Spain.
Yeah.
Never been to Sweden, been to Switzerland. Yeah.
No, I'd love to
Done.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
done the Middle East, just a USO tour. But it's funny, it's the only thing I've done like
Yeah.
yonder.
How did you get connected with that?
I was playing with a country trio named Mockingbird's Son back in like 2013, and I was valeting at the same time too. I was valeting during the week and touring on the weekends, making no money, like 15 passenger van, and I remember they called me. It was, I think, like first week of December. They called and said, "Hey, do you have your passport?" Yeah, I have my passport. I think I got it for a cruise, like my senior year of high school. It hadn't like run its course yet. They're like, "Cool, we're gonna go to the Middle East in a week. You cool with that?" I was like, "Are we gonna be home for Christmas?" Because it was like coming on. They're like, "Yeah, we'll be home on 23rd." And so, just went out and played. We flew out of Nashville to DC, flew over to Kuwait, and that was a connection down to, the way that we say it in America is Bahrain. But it's, they say it differently now, I think. But we went to Bahrain.
You want to go for it?
And I think it's like Bahrain. So we did a couple of bases there, and then we flew from there to the Gulf of Oman in like this weird, I think they call it cod, military cod. We ended up the back of the butt of the plane dropped down, and we sat backwards, and we flew to the USS Harry S. Truman, an aircraft carrier in the Gulf of Oman. And they like tail hooked us. They caught us with the thing, and we played on the flight deck.
Really?
Yeah, coolest show I've ever played.
I was gonna say that's
Nothing but ocean around.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
amazing. So did that, and then we went a couple of places. We went to Djibouti, which is a place. It's funny. It's a place. It's in the
Why is it funny?
because it says booty,
Yeah.
Djibouti. That's in the Horn of Africa. So we played there. That was interesting.
Wow.
Interesting, like base, because we weren't allowed to leave. Like in Bahrain, it was like really chill. Like kind of do whatever you want to. But in Djibouti, like we couldn't leave the base because the whole base had been on lockdown for like months. And leaving there, we flew through Ethiopia up to London and back home. So that was a really cool trip. It sucked, but I would absolutely do it at the drop of a hat. It was so amazing to see what they do over there. And they kept thanking us, like, thank you so much for coming. Like, are you kidding me? Like, y'all have to live over here. Like, thank you for, serving your country. But it was pretty cool. But that's all I've done overseas. I've been in South America once or twice. But that's it.
You talked about valeting. Have any of you guys done any of
That.
that stuff? Like what day job stuff that you guys are doing or have done? Or
I love ballet.
I valet parked for a few months when I first moved to town.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I did it for a couple of years, and it rules. Not for everybody, but I love it. Like, you don't have to, you barely have to talk to anybody. You're just running and being
Yeah.
outside.
As a distance runner, I didn't mind that job.
Right.
Could you guys drive stick shift though?
Yeah, my first car actually was
Okay.
a manual transmission, so that was no problem.
See my
That's
like
where you started your interest in, huh? That's funny.
No, I'd
It's the
I'd
seed.
run a marathon before I got the valet gig, so I was into running.
I was
Not the way I am now, but I was in it.
That
I
was
was
your
not a
ultra.
runner.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how it started.
I remember, like, first starting valeting, I had, like, shin splints, like nobody's business. Like, I could barely walk. But I was at a hotel, and we had to run downhill to get to the garage. And for some reason, that downhill run, like, my feet were just slamming the pavement. I didn't know how to run. I probably still don't, but I love valeting, though. I've done a couple of restaurant jobs, too.
Have you guys ever lived in your rehearsal space?
In college, we used to have practice rooms on the same floors as our dorms, so like I had a kit.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to like leave your kit there overnight. I'm like, come on, guys. There's only like 12 people on this floor. I'm taking one of the 8 rooms. So I had a kit like set up in a practice room at all
Yeah.
times. I could literally like walk down the hall. So that was pretty cool because practicing 5 or 6 hours a day was like not that weird. Just walk down the hall, practice for an
Right.
hour, go back, do some homework, whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
I always had a drum set in my room,
Right.
so I mean, yes and no.
I was so poor at one point that that's what I had to do.
Oh.
So I would just live in the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
And that's another testament to there's not enough kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Not enough
Or
fun on
maybe I'm
Sweden.
just shitty
Yeah.
playing. But that's one of those things I think back on a lot. Maybe you do with balleting too, that you don't have to do it anymore. It's nice. It's something I think about. I'm so glad I don't have to live in a rehearsal room, have a gym card to go shower.
Yeah.
You're basically homeless. Right? It's a nice thing.
It's not
Carrot.
poor, man.
Huh?
That's not poor. That's po.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got it. Let me
Yeah,
hear it.
po.
Po. P-O. You can't even afford the last 2 letters, bro. But
Yeah.
We, I haven't had one in a while, but for a bit I had a storage unit. I couldn't afford the climate controlled storage unit, so it was hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and I had a couch in there. I think I may have stayed like once or twice, just overnight. But
It's not fun.
it's not fun at all. It sucked, period, because there's only, in Nashville, there's only like 2 months of the year where weather's, kind of nice. The rest of the time it's awful. But I did that for a long time. Yeah. And there's been a couple different times I've split it with like 4 other drummers, and we just get, a huge one, and all of our gear and everything just stays in. You open the garage door and you see like 4 different kits, and then just a wall of cases and crap.
I've bought some stuff on Facebook Marketplace and like gone to people's places that are like that. They have like 5 or 6 kits like,
Right.
in their basement, and it's a musician house, and so I guess that's pretty common here.
Yeah. A lot of people do the storage unit thing. I mean, it's cheap, and you can get storage units for not that much. 4 or 7, didn't go to college. I played in like rock bands for the next couple of years, and I grew up in country music. Like, family's all in country. Like, it was what we did, and everybody still is touring and doing everything. Like, there was no lack of like inspiration, but for some reason I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling like I was the country player. Like, just didn't feel right. So 2009, I was hanging out with a friend of mine. He had a friend who had a friend who was at a party up in Nashville. I was in Nashville, and so we came up, and I didn't know Nashville very well, but there was a street we turned up, near Belmont. It's on Villa Place. And the house we went to, there was a huge group of these guys I didn't know. Turns out it was a bluegrass party. I thought it was a party. It was bluegrass. Everybody had their like bluegrass
Everybody's
instruments.
there to pick.
And they were throwing down, man. And like at that point, I mean, I have voice memos from my phone recording these guys. I was like, this is incredible. I remember leaving that party, looking at my buddy who I played music with, and like rocking. I was like, that's what I want to do. It's not bluegrass, but like,
The virtuosity of their.
yeah, they're freaking musicians. Like, turns out that was TJ and John Osborne, Charlie Worsham, all of like the King Billy guys.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was just that crew. So those guys, I think Musgraves was there. Like, she was around back then. You know, who knows who else was there? But those were the core guys that were there, and those are the dudes that inspired me to like start playing country again, like get my act together. So it was like 2009, which was 10 years ago.
Is it alright if
What was
I
the
just-
question?
Yeah,
Oh, what are we
when,
getting serious?
When did you get really
Super
serious?
long.
I mean,
Sorry.
for
No, it's
like a middle schooler, I practiced hard and stuff. For me, it was more of just like this sliding scale of slowly figuring out that maybe I could do that professionally. Like when I was a kid, like the academic route made sense to me. Like I wanted to study aerospace engineering in college, but like drums was my biggest hobby, and so I worked really hard at that. And then it was just kind of slowly, I think around like maybe sophomore year of high school, I had like teachers and band directors and stuff that would kind of start talking to me, assuming that I was going to like continue to study music in college and do that professionally. That's like they would feed me like, well, yeah, whenever you're gonna figure out where you're gonna go to college. I mean, who has the best music program? That sort of. They started talking, kind of assuming I was going to continue this after high school, and so then I started thinking about that. I was like, oh, maybe like I guess I could do this after high school. Like until people started talking to me as if that were a fact. I'd never even considered doing it past high school. I just thought that was my high school hobby.
How old are you at that point?
Like 15.
15.
So that's about the age I started thinking like, oh, like maybe I could do that forever. So I think I was always serious about working hard at it, but then yeah, around like age 15, 16, I started to really think like this could, like if I continue to work harder and harder, like I think I could do this forever.
Yeah, same. I did my first like big session when I was 15 with the gospel group I was playing with. Kind of seeing the artwork and seeing the craft, man. No cockiness about it, but you're like, damn, okay, I think I can really do this. That kind of faded, and small town when you're like the number one guy, you just kind of it is what it is. But I would say that refresh button was pushed. College. My instructor at the time I came in, I was coming in to audition, and he sat back and was like, yeah, you're a decent church drummer, and so
He gave it to you.
yeah. And he
Profound effect.
to this day, man, is probably just as a man and as an instructor one of the biggest influences in my life, bro. But coming in, I didn't know, like, oh crap, I can learn all the styles. I can learn all these world styles. I can learn every jazz style out. I can learn how to really approach the drums as an instrument, not just, all right, I'm a part of the band. He pushed me to learn melodic stuff. He knew, all right, drum set, you're good. Let's put that to the side and pick up 4/9. Let's put that to the side and play steel pan. Let's put that to the side and focus on keyboard or focus on concert or orchestral. Let's put you on timpani. And so that really like pushed my musicality, and just I started more learning what a phrase was, learning approach, learning technique. So that helped me on drums a lot. Not just to be the light player or the kind of musical player, but that really like hits you mentally and go, all right, like you were saying about it earlier, the drums can actually speak, and instead of being rhythmic, they can be tonal as well. Not to be crazy deep, but it took me going to college, man, for that to really just open my mind to endless options of, all right, you can do this, you can do that, you can teach, whatever. So, yeah.
So it was teachers for you, really.
Yeah.
drummer.
For you, it was a show.
It was, just a bunch of people getting together
Or,
playing.
yeah, virtuos.
Just playing music.
I saw, for me, I saw the VHS tapes of Dennis Chambers and Big Whip.
Come on. Which one? Common Ground?
Serious Moves, his first
Okay,
back to basics. Big
Oh,
Whip.
yeah. With the Jerry curl?
Yeah.
Because my teacher, Peter Wilbur, which you might know, great metal drummer, he brought in these tapes, and he also brought me so many records and to listen to, because I was a metal head at the time. That was all I thought was that's the highest, you know. And then he showed me that stuff on TV, and that's when I realized it was the same thing walking home from school that day, just like, wow, there's levels to drumming that I'm not even, because I thought it was almost fake when I saw it. Like I thought it was a sped, like I thought Dennis Chambers was a sped up. Well, these things are sped it up. That you can't do that. But that was one of those moments. Just like, I have to get really serious. And I think I was 15. Yeah, 15. I think or 16 maybe. And it was like, okay, it's time to really do it. Maybe that's when the fun got taken off. No, I'm just kidding.
Go back. Did you have any other questions?
I mean, there's a lot of questions, but we're.
My watch.
I know you gotta go.
Yeah,
I
I'm
should
actually-
probably
I
go.
want to see a stand-up at Ascend.
Oh,
I like comedy too, you know. John Boyd, I actually don't know him at all, so he gave me tickets.
You gotta go run an ultra.
Yeah.
My guys listen to comedy all the time, so I hear all these things, all these jokes and stuff, and then I never knew who they are. Then I hear names. I
Yeah.
can't. I don't know who is who, but I think he's good.
Cool. I've never heard him at all, so I'm actually really interested
You
in
gonna
the
run there?
stand-up show. Totally cold.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I could. It's not like 2 miles away, but I'm saying my girlfriend's going. She wants to take the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess we can do that.
I'm spoiled.
Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
Well, shoot, fellas, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Really fun to meet all of you. Does everyone do the social media thing?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm out there.
Yeah.
Great.
Make it official.
All right, I'm gonna
See
grab
you
my
guys.
stuff.
Did we get any of those?
Yeah, we did a couple. I mean,
I feel like we
just-
half hit like some of the ones that you talked about.
That's okay.
Kind of angled past.
Sweet,
That's
man.
all right.
Whatever, that's like how podcasts go.
At least it was
Right.
a natural.
Yeah.
That's how I wanted it.
Yeah, that's very good. I didn't feel stressed. I'll feel stressed at certain things like this.
Words are hard,
You
bro.
playing?
I did on Sunday, and then I knew I was coming back here, so I just let it.
gonna play us some?
No.
Play, Caleb.
Make it total.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice.
There you go.
That's all you get.
Don't.
That's
Let's
all
just,
you'll
let's
learn
just hang out for a
That's
second.
all I learned. That's
Just
all.
leave your stuff. We'll come back and get it tomorrow. I wanna.
Tell me you were thinking about the bars then, right?
Yeah, dude.